What does Breeland Speaks film from college tell you about what he can do for the Chiefs in Kansas City? I'm going to tell you right now. Hey, welcome back to RGR Football. I'm Ryan and I'm going rogue. This is my opinions and my takes on football topics specific to the Chiefs right now. Today we're talking about Breeland Speaks. If you're just finding me, make sure you click subscribe and get that little bell icon noted so that you can get notifications when I put out new videos. Also, hit that thumbs up if you like it. I could always use those, and that's what really drives folks so we can make this conversation bigger. Make sure to leave a comment and let me know what you think. Today we're talking about Breeland Speaks, and I've gone through his film, and not just the highlights that you see on the tight reel, but I want to talk about a couple of things that the Chiefs had to have liked, and that's why they brought him in. And first and foremost, you notice things about his personality. He's a guy that has some intensity. He's definitely aggressive on the field, yet he has that kind of joking demeanor about him as well. I really do relate the way that he appears both in public, when doing interviews and those kind of things, as well as a couple of things that he does on the field that remind me a lot of Chris Jones. He's a guy that's intensity and has that athletic ability to make a difference on the field, but has a lighthearted side to him as well. So I think that's a nice pairing. And seeing those guys line up probably next to each other quite a bit in 2018 is going to be a good thing. Now, as far as what he does well on the field, he's a guy that plays forward best. Dropping into coverage and stuff, we'll talk about some of the drawbacks here in a minute, but when he's playing forward, out of any stance really, that's where he excels. He is a guy that wants to push up the field, use his power, use his first step, which is okay, but he's actually a guy that I think he's better later in the down. He accelerates, and by the 2-second mark, I think you see him get to his top. And that's the kind of thing that the Chiefs need, whether he's coming off the edge as a stand-up linebacker, especially in that position where D Ford usually is, whether it's injury or swap out or whatever is going to put him in that position. That's something that he can do really well, but he's just as effective, if not more, coming out of a three-point stance. And again, it's post-engagement, it's after contact that he actually starts to get better in the down. And that's something that the Chiefs don't really have right now. You see initial steps and quickness, you see explosiveness, which is not really Breeland's forte, but you see later in downs where the Chiefs get stymied in their pass rush, and that's something that's really going to help them come through and have a guy that can put things together later in the down. Now, when you watch his film, you also see that they used him off the ball quite a bit. And there's a couple of plays that we'll see here that actually demonstrate that when he's playing from a few yards deep, he can produce, again, with that acceleration, reading. I like what they did with him, stunning him in the A-gap. That's a great place for him. He has some ability to pursue sideline to sideline. You see some flash plays, and if they can get better performance out of him, more consistent performance, that's something that can be a big asset as well, especially when you're talking about trying to leave him on the edge and let him set the end of the line. There's a play that he's going to get all the way back to the sideline on a running back that, though his support staff, the corners come up and kind of block off and corral him into the sideline, but Speaks is in great pursuit, and that's something they're going to need to see from him really consistently in 2018 if he's going to be on the field for them. Now, some things that slow down, when you get to that outside, he's got a couple of things. He likes to use the slap. He likes to use a little bit of a tight spin move. I think he's great in that kind of interior. We're not talking about complete change of direction. We're talking about real tight spins, slaps, some hand movement. When he gets better with his hands, after training with the Chiefs and with the Chiefs players and the consultants that they use, Master Kim in particular, he's going to get better at that. And I think that's a big plus for him. I think still, when I look at his film, I still like him in a down stance. I like him trying to penetrate the B gap. Whether he's lined up head up over the tackle or slanted out inside in a 4 or even a 3 technique, he can really penetrate gaps and push that, use his power to his effectiveness. And that's where we want to see him, I think. Especially early in his career, I think that's where he's going to make his most hay. And I'm looking forward to pairing him with Jones and Houston and Ford and see what they can do pass rush there. Now, when you look on the other side, there's always a couple of things that a player has to work on, especially when they're new in the league. And one of them for him is awareness. You'll see downs pretty consistently through his career. And even as we look at his final game, bowl game of his last season at Ole Miss, you see that he penetrates or has an assignment that he attacks, but misses some where the ball carrier is, or whether it's on those read options, whether the quarterback keeps or not. A little bit of awareness is something that has to come from him, and that's either pre-snap diagnosis or just keeping his head on a swivel better, and that's something that will come as well. Also, when he gets fatigued, which is probably more than I would have liked to have seen, he plays high, and it's the same thing that we saw with Chris Jones, a guy that has a motor that needs to be more consistent and a pad level that needs to be more consistent. And when, again, he's moving forward and attacking and his pads are low, that's when he can make an impact. They need to see that from him very consistently starting in camp. Now, all that aside, one thing he doesn't do is bend the edge. He's not a lateral player in terms of his pass rush. Changing directions for him is not the most natural thing. While he can do it on some snaps, it's more that wide nine arcing kind of pass rush rather than a changeover to an inside move. His inside moves are very, very tight and very controlled. Trying to work somebody outside and come back inside where you're talking about, 3-4 steps worth of movement, that's going to be a challenge for him and not something that I think he'll be asked to do because he's got a long way to go in developing that kind of pass rush. So overall, a guy that can get the job done. I think that he enjoys what he's doing, and it's going to be something that it's going to be a progress, and where they fit him in, I think, is whatever he takes to most naturally the first time. Now, I want to know what you guys think. You've seen the film, you've seen some of the snaps here. Leave in the comments, what do you feel like you want to see him start out as? Where do you feel his role is going to be the best? Tell me what you think about Breeland Speaks. And, even, hey, do you think they overdrafted him? That's a legitimate concern because he is a project, much like Tano Passanio was. There's some development that needs to go on there. That's just the fact of the story. So let me know what you think. Check out the podcast. We're talking about that this week as well over on Locked On Chiefs. You can find that in the show notes as well. If you like any of the coffee or the coffee cups I'm using, go ahead and grab those links. I put those in there just for fun. Or if you're trying to start your own YouTube thing, I've got a list of some of the equipment I use that might get you started. So take a look at those. The schedule this coming couple of weeks is going to be a little bit off. I'll try to do more film reviews as I'm going to be on vacation too because it's that time of year before we get to camp. But let me know what you think, and I'll keep putting them out while I'm gone, and definitely we'll pick back up in June when I'm back. So thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed and you're getting those notifications, and I'll talk to you next time.